hitting harder times, and also all those figures from Europe, I suppose, to be expected, Max. It'll just get worse and worse, will it?
Well, the problem, Afshin, going back a few years, is that the American economy is suffering from what you could call a counterfeiting scheme. A lot of the banks and even the central banks have sold short bonds that don't really exist. This is called naked short selling. This is when you sell bonds that don't exist. It's a fancy way to engage in counterfeiting. So this has created a multi-hundred trillion dollar black hole of debt. And no matter how many trillions of dollars they try to bail themselves out of this black hole of debt, even if they liquidated the entire U.S. economy, it's still not going to be enough to fill in this black hole of naked short selling and counterfeiting debt that the investment banks on Wall Street. Furthermore, to complicate matters, if they're going to try to reinflate the American economy, they would need unscrupulous bankers on Wall Street like we used to have at Lehman Brothers. Lehman Brothers was a fantastic machine of inflating bogus bonds and bogus products, but they killed Lehman Brothers, so there's no machine left to inflate the economy. So as a result, this economy is going to continue to suffer. Jobs loss will continue to suffer. Barack Obama is on his knees now begging the Chinese for more loans. The Chinese are saying, we're not so sure. We're probably going to devalue our currency. There's going to be a bit of a competitive global currency devaluation, which is a global game of currency poker, and America's holding the worst hand.
I did notice there was a piece in the Chinese media this morning, their time, saying that they were thinking of, a Chinese company was thinking of buying Volvo. Do you think the Chinese are going to buy up some of these different elements of the U.S. auto market as the U.S. government decides to asset strip it?
Exactly. The Chinese are in a position to asset strip the American economy. The Chinese banks have become the Drexel Burnham Lambert of the 2008-2009 period. They're looking at us the way Carl Icahn used to look at companies and still does, as a predator. But I'll give you an example of how this fraudulent naked short selling can really kill people. There's a company called Force Protection. They make armored vehicles for SUVs and Humvees in Iraq. They were recently going to do a secondary offering to increase their capitalization, to give them the capacity to make more vehicles that would protect more American soldiers in Iraq. When they announced the secondary offering, the hedge fund managers and the croupiers on Wall Street, the financial terrorists, as I call them, they sold the stock naked. They forced the capitalization down. Now the company can't raise money to make these vehicles to protect U.S. soldiers. So here you have hedge funds in America who are actually, by proxy, killing U.S. soldiers, which is quite remarkable. And no one seems to want to stop this. They just see the U.S. soldiers as a way for hedge funds to make money, whether they live or die. And it's quite pathetic. But if no one's going to step in and try to stop this type of naked short selling from happening, it's just going to continue.
And what about the bailouts? I mean, every media outlet is concentrating on the huge taxpayer bailouts of huge sums of money. Can they save the economies of these countries? And what relationship do these bailouts have with the strength of their currencies? Has that correlation gone, or have people just forgotten that deficits have something to do with the value of one's currency?
Well, this is the interesting question, because traditionally when the country engages in this type of deficit spending or these bailouts are applied to the economy, you would expect to see some kind of uptake in the economy, some kind of inflation. But what we're seeing now is this downward deflationary spiral, because no matter how many trillions of dollars they print or borrow to throw at the problem, it goes into this black hole of corrupt Wall Street banks, corrupt Federal Reserve banks. And it's a black hole worth hundreds of trillions of dollars. It's a huge black hole of debt that even if every single stock, bond, and house in America were liquidated and sold to the Chinese, and that money was thrown into this black hole of debt, it still would not create equilibrium in the U.S. economy. You would still have downward pressure. The only solution, and it's been alluded to here, is America's going to have to sell off huge pieces of itself to its creditors, including China, the Mideast, South Korea, South Korea, by the way, is getting very vocal in not wanting to buy U.S. bonds anymore. Taiwan, a couple of weeks ago, they said, we're not going to buy U.S. Treasury bonds anymore. The U.S. Treasury market went through a 5-hour crash, but then somebody got on the phone to Taiwan and said, wait, we'll hold out. Don't sell us out yet. Maybe we'll give you Hollywood. I see in Hollywood they're going to start trading Hollywood box office futures contracts based on my technology that I invented a few years ago. This is only going to create Hollywood. It's going to turn into Enron. It's going to become a huge layered speculative hedge fund collapse of Hollywood. That'll be the next industry in America to collapse thanks to Cantor Fitzgerald and their new box office futures contracts.
Hollywood, that great export of the United States. Thank you very much as ever. Max Keiser, live from Paris.